Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah and Hiba right here on Relax Radio. We're super excited to be here because we're going to be having a very important conversation and discussion with you today, aren't we, Hiba?
Yes, we are. You're absolutely right about that. Today, we're going to dive deep into the topic of too much or too little education.
Exactly. So, if you ever wondered if you had too much education or maybe even too little, well, the place for you to join and have this conversation is right here on Relax Radio. Now, if you want to get in touch with us and share your thoughts and opinions with us with regard to this topic, you can actually do that. All you need to do is just text us on 078 or even, call us on that number as well, because it would be absolutely amazing if we can hear your thoughts and opinions on this, because obviously I think a lot of this is related to you. If you are someone who's going to university, if you're in an apprenticeship, get in touch with us and share your thoughts with us as well. All right, and before we head into our conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact be a part of this show as well. All you need to do is just to go like us on Facebook and follow us on the rest of our socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube as well. And don't forget to download our app either. Now, before we head into the conversation, I want to very quickly talk to you about how Scotland is actually free at last, because they just released the restrictions in Scotland yesterday, and everyone was like so excited about going to Scotland and hanging out with their friends and meeting friends and family. But however, even though that's the case, there are a few, rules and regulations that are still in place, like wearing masks and maintaining social distance in healthcare settings. If you're going to the doctor or if you're going to get a surgery, those things are still that they still need to be done. But that's the very latest on how Scotland is finally free, all right? But now let's actually head into our conversation. All right, which is basically about, too little education or too much education. Right, Hiba?
Yes, absolutely. So many people, it's become a growing topic. I mean, I think it's practically normal for everyone to go to university at this point. I don't think I've ever met somebody who is within our age group that hasn't gone to university.
Honestly, right? And
Yeah,
just like the truth is, it's very hard to actually get a job if you don't have a degree, right? It's
yeah,
like the thing is, with education, I feel like you can never have too much education, because the higher you go up that ladder, the more qualifications you need, right?
yeah,
But again, that's something very debatable, but that's just my opinion on it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. I think when you what I think universities are very much necessary
Yeah.
thing to have. A degree is very important. If you want to be in a high tax bracket, you have to have a degree. I mean, are we going to lie here and say that higher paying jobs don't require a university degree? Absolutely not. I mean, it's the fact of the matter. You need a degree if you want a high paying job. If you want to have two cars, make sure you have a university degree.
Right. Yeah, that's really true, right? And so when I actually saw this news article, I was like so confused. Like, it was like that meme that says, visible confusion, because I was like, how can you ever have too much education? What do you mean too many people are going to university? And I mean, the way I look at it, I feel like, isn't that something good? Because if a lot of people are going to university, well, that means that we're going to have more educated individuals, and I don't see a problem with that. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. I think, however, it all boils down to this. You don't want too many people in education because overeducated people are hard to exploit. You
Yeah.
know, they understand their worth, they understand how to actually grow in this job market. I think if you keep, like, I remember reading this article, and one quote was, the taxpayer is paying for this and they're not seeing a return.
Yeah.
And I just, that, like, it got me so angry because I was just like, okay, but when you want to invade another country, or when you want to, when you want to fire your little nukes,
Yeah.
that's okay for the taxpayer. I mean,
Yeah.
it's okay for the taxpayer to pay for the pothole on, like, down the road, but it still hasn't been fixed in how many years?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so
So
sorry.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, right? Because we're talking about, other, especially if we're going to use taxpayers' money for other things, then why is education such a big problem, right? And I just guess again, this is with like capitalism and wanting to exploit people and whatnot. Basically, if you come in contact with someone who isn't that educated or who isn't really that aware of all of the things that happen in these job markets, it makes it very, very easier for you to exploit them as well, right? So I actually really understand what you're saying, and that makes a lot of sense as well, right? But with regard to, I mean, leaving the whole like taxpayer problem aside,
Yeah,
student debt is also one of the biggest problems here, right? Not just in the UK, but I've seen it in the US as well.
yeah.
Student debt is a huge problem, right? So what exactly do you think about that, and what do you think needs to be changed with regard to, student debt and whatnot?
I think with when it comes to student debt, I personally, this is my own personal opinion, I feel like we don't know what we're paying for. Do you know what I mean? Like I know, okay, I go to university, I have to pay £9,250 a year. However, I want to actually know what this is for. Is it
Yeah.
for my education? Is it for textbooks? Is it for the technology that I use? What is it for? That's number one. And number two is I feel like before university, sixth forms and colleges and even secondary schools, they don't teach you how to properly maintain your finances, and that
Yeah.
isn't just in the UK. That's also, I think it's especially prevalent in the US, because a lot of things work around finance there. You have to learn how to pay your taxes, you have to learn how to file tax returns.
Yeah.
So we don't teach students how exactly what their money is worth, how it's being spent, and also how they can, spend it wisely, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree to that, but we can continue all of that after this small break, because we're going to be heading into a small break now. And after that, we will be back to keep talking about all of this. So until then, make sure you stay tuned. Welcome back to the conversation. It is Sarah. I'm Sarah, and that's Hiba. And we really hope that you're having an absolutely amazing time because we're having an amazing discussion here with regard to education, with regard to the very latest on education. So make sure you stay tuned and share your thoughts and opinions with us on 07852473473. Now, Hiba will actually tell you how exactly you can get in touch with us through our socials. So, Hiba, why don't you tell everyone how to get in touch with us?
Yeah, guys, if you want to get in touch with us, you can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can also make sure you join in live to our show this morning on YouTube, as well as the Relax Radio app available on Google, Android, and the Apple Store.
Yeah, exactly. So that is just a way you can get in touch with us. And we're having a very interesting conversation, if I might add, about this ridiculous statement, about how apparently there's too much education and too many people are going to university, which really does not make sense for either of us. And, earlier Hiba was just saying how even though this whole problem of student debt actually exists, we don't really know what it's for. And I think you made a very valid statement, very valid point as well when you said, like they talk about student debt, they talk about all of the debts that we have to face, but we're not really taught about finance properly in school. So in a way, it just kind of looks like the government knowingly exploits us when we're younger. So when we grow up, we're just confused and we don't know what to do when we have to pay taxes, right?
Yes, you
Which,
are. Yeah, you're
yeah,
absolutely right. Yeah.
yeah, so that was like that, and when you actually think about it, it's like some of the most essential things that we need for life, like learning to manage our finances, learning how exactly taxes work and whatnot. That actually, if you think about it, that isn't taught to us, right? And now it just all sounds like some sort of big conspiracy theory, to be quite honest with you, because it just sounds like the government is purposely not teaching us these things in our curriculum to stop us from learning about these things. But it's really, really true what you said as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But I feel like it's not just, student finances that are contributing to student debt. It's also the fact that these kids who are literally just entering adulthood
Yeah,
are not taught, are like being offered thousands in overdrafts.
yeah,
And that is even more dangerous because so many students are taking out overdrafts and then they're having a hard time paying it back. So, on top of having to pay back student finance and then maintenance loans, you're also having to pay back probably for a very long time, well into your first job, your overdraft. And it's completely ridiculous that these kids aren't taught, hey, maybe just like, settle down, like maybe calm down a little bit. So yeah, so I feel like we should have a system in place which teaches young children, especially children who have grown up, lacking in funds. I know I was, the poor little girl, and it was really hard because like I did not know anything about money, and then all of a sudden I'm like thrust into the world of money, and now
yeah.
I'm like before the age of 22, I have now thousands in debt, all because I wanted to go to university.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that is so true. And you know what, I feel like I mean, I'm not too sure about your situation, but for most of my life, my parents are the ones who've made decisions about literally everything, right? And I feel like this is a part of being like South Asian as well, because you see all these like memes and stuff about, oh, if you're a South Asian, your parents probably made decisions for you your entire life, right?
Yeah.
Which is the case with me as well, right? I mean, for most of my life, my parents were the ones who like told me, yeah, that this is what you need to do. I mean, they never forced me to choose my career or whatnot. I mean, with that, they gave me absolute freedom. But for most of the other things, they were the ones who said, oh, like this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And then when I actually had to make my own decisions, I was like so confused because I didn't know what to do. And like it's the same with money as well, right? I mean, when you're suddenly told that you have so much of debt and you're thinking, look, I didn't even spend that much for me to have that much of debt. So what are you talking about? Like, what are you saying,
I still it's literally like you're just stood there and you're like, I have £10 of my overdraft left. If you could have that, if that
Yeah.
could go towards my debt, I'd be so grateful. But
Honestly.
yeah, but like I feel like honestly, it's not just that though. One of the quotes from this article was you're for in favor of apprenticeships. It was um I think it was something like, you learn as you earn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so amazing. Like, I remember wanting to do apprenticeships. However, the one thing that really threw me off track and really, put me on the course to university was that I did not know how to apply. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't UCAS style. You can just go on a website and like apply for all the apprenticeships you wanted.
Yeah.
It was really hard. You have to go to multiple company sites. You have
Yeah.
to apply properly. You have to make sure that your CV is amazing. And you just have to sit there and like, I did not know any of this. Why did no one tell me that
Yeah.
I could have money whilst being in a job that I actually liked?
Yeah. All right. So we will get back into this conversation. I mean, we will talk more about this, about this topic about apprenticeships after the break. So make sure you stay tuned. All right. Because we're going to head into a small break. And after that, we will be here to discuss all of that.